strictly speaking, for poverty would mean that it's deprivation. Okay? Or if as an economist, if I have to explain to a common man, I will say that it's not deprivation, or I may even say that it's the inability of a person or a society to achieve some minimum level of welfare, economic welfare, or happiness or something. Then the question that would arise is, how do you measure this welfare or economic welfare or economic happiness, whatever, how you define it. Essentially, there are two dimensions to it. When I explain to layman, I will ask questions from three different perspectives. What do you mean by welfare? How do you by happiness? How would you measure happiness? One is strictly conventionally, we always used to measure happiness in terms of a single measure like income. Or income. But the question is then how do we do in countries like India, we don't have estimates of income, so we use some kind of good measure like a consumption distribution. Generally we measure estimates of, till recently we used to make estimates of poverty in terms of with reference to consumer expenditure. Okay? Then the question is how do you define, that is the first step, how do you measure welfare? Then the second question is how do you say the minimum, define this minimum? Inability to define a minimum, attain a minimum level of economic welfare or happiness, how do you define it? So then this is another very important question. Okay, actually the first question, I said in India we sort of measure it in terms of consumer expenditure. But if you look at the literature, there are different methods. We measure in terms of expenditure, consumer expenditure, we don't get information for all people, so we may measure in terms of food expenditure, or there also if you don't get measure objective measures, then we may even go in terms of measures of health status like undernourishment or all this kind of, there are different types of measures here we would use. But if you ask me how would you expect a layman, I would say that inability to live attain some good level of living, comfortable, this is what I would say, comfortable level of living. Okay, then the question, how do you define this minimum? When it comes to minimum, that's essentially this calorie norm. So you're telling me that 2,400 calorie norms, etc. So that is in this context, what essentially comes is that how do you define the minimum level of consumer expenditure? So you define minimum is defined with reference to ability to buy a consumption bundle that would ensure enough calorie intake for sufficient living. So this is, for Indian Council of Medical Research, long back, almost one century back, they recommended 2,400 calories for every Indian. Why am I telling you this? If you refer to Pandit Nehru, the story of India, then he makes a reference to some National Planning Committee appointed by the Indian National Congress in 1938 under Pandit Nehru, which look into these issues, because then they debate the question, what we should do once we get independence. Then we should remove deprivation. Then they said, how do you defend deprivation? And it's very interesting to note that on those days, even in 1938, our national leaders have a multi-dimensional perspective of deprivation. They said when they define deprivation, they define not only in terms of expenditure of food or something. They took into different dimensions of levels of living. First they said, okay, you should have good food, adequate food with balanced diet. So that's why they define balanced diet with reference to calories, 2,400 calories. That's what they use that time. And then they say it's not enough if you have good health of food, you should also have education also. Then they also define in terms of shelter also, 100 square feet per shelter, clothing. They define, taking into account many our national leaders before we got independence, took into account many dimensions of levels of living, education, health, clothing, all those things. But the question is that today, afterwards, once we got independence, when we started the National, our Planning Commission, our leaders, again, a committee, expert committee appointed by Pandit Nehru, so looking into this issue, then they found that government countries' resources are very limited to ensure a subsistence level of living in every dimension. And again, they said our Indian institution, our Indian constitution provides for free education, health, etc. So state is state responsibility. So we don't have to worry about expenditure on health or education. We have to worry only about the private expenditure or household expenditure on food, to ensure basic minimum calories. So that's why they said, what is the required minimum amount of calories? They cited some Indian Council of Medical Research study which found that recommended 2,400 calories for rural India, 2,100 calories for urban India. Because urban Indians generally live a sedentary life, so they don't need as much energy as rural Indians. So this, in other words, these norms, which we use almost half to 1 century back, at least 75 years before, if we continue to use even now, that's finally this Industrial Committee abandoned this norm. So this is how, okay, so this is how the whole, concept of calories, and its relevance to define the poverty line emerged. Okay. So still recently we have been using the calorie-based poverty line. And we used to measure poverty with reference to only income dimension, only with reference to consumer expenditure, defined with reference to calories. Okay. So, have I clarified?
Yeah. No, I have already used.
No, this one is as follows. So that reason I don't know. I sent you yesterday that paper. On the targeting the periods. Does it would you penalize this poor? So this is a recommendation or the conclusion arrived by an important committee called Expert Group on Long-Term Rain Policy for India. And that committee consists of many academic experts also. Said that if you read a target with reference to poverty line, with reference to number of poor, then you will be penalizing the poor who are food insecure. Because they have the same proposition as what you said. So you are pointing out that the number of poor is much lower than the number of food insecure. Poverty may be just 20 or 30%, but the incidence of calorie deficiency, for example, almost about nearly 85-90% of the population is undernourished. So that's basically what you are writing, and that's what that committee also points out. Okay, now let me explain to you. For example, in my paper on targeting the period, published in Journal of Human Development, I have clearly explained why this anomaly comes about. This is because this calorie norm is used to define a poverty for a base reference here. For example, this Lakshya Kavala committee used this calorie norm to define a poverty for the year 1973-74. So when they looked at the consumption basket, they found that if you have export expenditure, for example, in rural India, something like up to 49 rupees, then you would be buying a consumption basket which provides 2,400 calories. Yeah. Okay, that is for the year 1973-74. So when you make estimates of poverty for subsequent years, you simply take into account the cost of living index number and adjust for inflation only, aggregate inflation. Okay, then you keep updating I simply adjust for aggregate price changes. Okay, so finally when I make estimates of poverty for the year 2004-2005, with reference to the poverty rate for 1970-74, that's ₹49. So prices may have increased by suppose let's say 100% or 200% or 300%. Accordingly, I need by 2-4 increases I will do the poverty line and count the number of people below the poverty line. This is what it's a universal methodology for making estimates of poverty. But when you really look at the actual consumption preference of the people, people respond to not only price changes, but also changes in the income, preference changes, availability changes, so many things. Okay, that's what we completely ignore. So for example, when I make re-estimate, may update my poverty estimate to make adjust for inflation, I adjust only for inflation. I don't take into account changes in the relative prices, changes in availability, changes in consumer preferences according to in the context of globalization, etc. So now again we don't really significant changes in income also. So what has happened? Really happened is since 1974 is that many things have happened. One thing is people's incomes have improved. That's one thing. And food supply, composition of food supply has also changed. Earlier, so for example, if you look at the early 60s or even early 70s, the poor people used to depend largely on poor cereals, jowar, bajra, etc. Okay, they used to be the very cheap source of calories. Jowar and bajra, even now today, they cost a fraction of the cost of superior like rice or wheat. Okay, so they used to have a very important, very cheaper source of calories for the poor people. They used to buy largely poor cereals, etc. In one of my papers I reported that also. Till the mid-60s, actually about 60% of the cereal consumption of the poor section used to consist of poor cereals, which used to hardly cost ₹1 per kg. Now, over time, I've seen, particularly after Green Revolution, and what is the farmers say production pattern, cropping pattern, because it is no longer worthwhile for them to produce jowar or bajra because the profit is much less. Okay, for the profit is much higher for rice and wheat, so they go for rice and wheat. And that's why if you look at the crop production, per capita production of 4 cereals has declined, per capita production of rice and wheat has increased. Okay, so in that's not only one, that's one thing. Second thing is even small farmers shifted their crop production,